Keanu Reeves was strolling down Hollywood Boulevard, lost in the hum of the city, when something caught his eye. A scrappy kid sitting on the sidewalk with a cardboard sign that read, "Save my dog." Next to him was a frail, shivering pup named Shadow. The boy, Ethan, barely looked up, his face etched with worry. Keanu stopped, handed over a few bucks, and crouched down. That's when he saw it in Ethan's eyes. A flicker of hope buried under layers of despair. This wasn't just a plea for help. It was a story of survival that would tug at his heart and spark a change neither of them saw coming. Before we dive in, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? If you love stories like this, hit subscribe for more. It was a chilly December afternoon in 2019, and Keanu had been out for a walk, needing a break from the noise of his own life. Hollywood Boulevard was alive with its usual chaos. Tourists snapping photos, street performers hustling for tips, but Keanu kept his head down, hands in the pockets of his black jacket. He wasn't looking for anything special, just a moment to breathe. Then, he saw Ethan. The kid couldn't have been more than 13, his thin frame hunched over that sign, his dog curled up tight beside him. Shadow's ribs poked through his patchy fur, and his breathing was shallow, labored. Keanu's steps slowed. Something about the scene hit him hard. Maybe it was the dog's quiet loyalty, or the way Ethan's hands trembled as he held the sign. "Hey kid," Keanu said, his voice low but warm. "What's going on with your dog?" Ethan's head jerked up, startled, like he wasn't used to anyone stopping. His eyes were wide, red-rimmed, but he didn't cry, not yet. "He's sick," Ethan mumbled, his voice cracking. "He won't eat. I don't know what to do." Keanu crouched lower, studying Shadow. The dog's dark eyes met his, tired but trusting. Keanu reached out, resting a hand lightly on Shadow's head. The fur felt rough, brittle. "How long's he been like this?" he asked. "A few days," Ethan said, words spilling out faster now. "Maybe more. He's all I've got." Keanu nodded, processing it. He'd seen plenty of people down on their luck. LA was full of them. But this was different. This kid wasn't asking for himself. It was all about the dog. Keanu pulled a few crumpled bills from his pocket, more than he'd planned to give, and pressed them into Ethan's hand. "Hang on," he said, standing up. "We're not leaving him like this." Ethan blinked, clutching the money like he wasn't sure it was real. "You mean it?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Keanu gave him a small, steady smile. "Yeah, I mean it." He pulled out his phone, scrolling for a vet he knew a few blocks away on Santa Monica Boulevard. Keanu had been there before, years ago, when he'd had a dog of his own. He made the call, keeping his tone calm but firm. "Hey, it's Keanu. I've got a sick dog here. Can you see him now?" The voice on the other end didn't hesitate. Keanu's name carried weight, but he didn't care about that. He just wanted Shadow taken care of. "They're ready for us," he told Ethan, pocketing the phone. "Can you carry him?" Ethan nodded fast, scooping Shadow up with shaky arms. The dog whimpered softly, but didn't fight it. Keanu led the way, weaving through the crowd, Ethan trailing close behind. As they walked, Keanu kept an eye on the kid. Ethan's clothes were worn thin, his sneakers held together with duct tape. He didn't say much, just hugged Shadow tighter, like letting go wasn't an option. Keanu's mind churned. He'd lost people, family, friends, and he knew that hollow ache Ethan was carrying. "What's your name?" he asked, breaking the silence. "Ethan," the boy replied, glancing up. "I'm Keanu." Ethan's eyes widened a little. He knew the name, probably from a movie poster, but he didn't say anything about it. "Thanks," he muttered instead, looking back at Shadow. Keanu didn't push. He didn't need to. He could see the story in Ethan's grip on that dog, in the way he ignored the dirty looks from people passing by. Some guy in a suit muttered, "Get a job, kid," as he brushed past, and Keanu shot him a hard look. Ethan didn't flinch, just kept walking. Keanu respected that. The kid had guts, even if the world didn't see it. "You're doing good by him," Keanu said after a minute. "Not everyone would," Ethan shrugged, but his jaw tightened. "He's my family," he said simply. That hit Keanu square in the chest. Family. He got that. They reached the vet's office, a small brick building tucked off the main drag. Keanu held the door open, letting Ethan go first. Inside, the receptionist recognized him instantly. but Keanu waved off any fuss. "It's about the dog," he said, nodding toward Shadow. The vet came out quick. A woman named Dr. Martinez. No nonsense, but kind. She took one look at Shadow and motioned for Ethan to follow her. Keanu stayed back, watching Ethan disappear into the exam room, still clutching that dog like his life depended on it. Maybe it did. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, thinking. Ethan's words stuck with him. "He's all I've got." Keanu knew what it was like to lose everything, to feel the world turn its back. He'd been there, years ago, after his own losses piled up. But this kid, he was still fighting. Keanu pulled out his wallet again, counting what he had left. Money wasn't the point. He'd cover whatever Shadow needed. This wasn't about charity. It was about that look in Ethan's eyes, that spark Keanu couldn't ignore. He wasn't walking away. Not today. Stick around until the end to find out how Keanu steps in to help this little boy. If you enjoy it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss out on more heartwarming stories and life lessons brought to us by the kind-hearted Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves stood in the vet's waiting room, arms still crossed, his mind racing as Ethan and Shadow disappeared behind the exam room door. The hum of Hollywood Boulevard faded outside, replaced by the sterile quiet of the clinic. It was late now, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows through the windows. Keanu didn't need to be here. He could have walked away after handing over the cash. But something kept him rooted. That kid's voice, shaky but fierce, echoed in his head. "He's all I've got." Keanu knew that kind of loyalty, that raw, desperate hold on the one thing keeping you sane. He'd felt it before, years back, when his own world had crumbled. The door swung open, and Ethan stepped out, his face pale but his grip on Shadow steady. Dr. Martinez followed, her expression serious. "He's dehydrated and malnourished," she said, glancing at Keanu. "Infection set in too. We've got him on fluids now, but he'll need meds and proper care to pull through." Keanu nodded, already reaching for his wallet. "Whatever he needs," he said, voice firm. "I'll cover it." Ethan's head snapped up, eyes wide with disbelief. "You don't have to," he started, but Keanu cut him off with a raised hand. "I want to," he said simply. "No one should watch their best friend fade like that." Ethan stared at him, lips parting like he wanted to argue, but no words came. Instead, his shoulders slumped, and for the first time, Keanu saw the weight the kid was carrying. Grief, fear, exhaustion, all of it spilling out in the way he clutched Shadow closer. "Thanks," Ethan whispered, voice breaking. Keanu just nodded, feeling a pang in his chest. He'd seen that look before, in his own reflection after losing his sister, his girlfriend, his unborn child. Loss carved you out, left you hollow, but this kid? He was still fighting to fill that void with something, someone worth holding on to. "Let's sit," Keanu said, guiding Ethan to a row of chairs. The boy sank down, Shadow resting across his lap, and Keanu took the seat beside him. For a minute they just sat there, the silence heavy but not uncomfortable. Keanu's mind drifted back to the sidewalk, to the moment he'd stopped. He hadn't planned it. Hell, he'd almost kept walking. But those words, "Save my dog," scrawled in shaky marker, had hooked him, and then Ethan's eyes, pleading without begging, sealed it. Keanu leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "How'd you end up out there?" he asked, keeping his tone soft, not pushing. Ethan hesitated, fingers tracing Shadow's fur. "My mom," he said finally, voice barely audible. "She died 3 months ago. TB. We didn't have money for a doctor." Keanu's jaw tightened. He didn't say anything, just let the kid talk. "After that, the landlord kicked us out. It's just been me and Shadow since." Ethan's voice cracked and he swiped at his eyes, quick like he was ashamed to let it show. Keanu felt a familiar ache twist inside him. He knew that story. Different details, same gut punch. "She loved him," Ethan added, almost to himself. "Said he kept us going when things got bad." Keanu leaned back, staring at the ceiling for a second. "He's a fighter," he said, nodding toward Shadow. "Like you." Ethan didn't respond, just kept stroking the dog's head, but Keanu saw the flicker in his eyes. gratitude maybe, or just relief that someone got it. Outside, the city lights were flickering on, Hollywood Boulevard glowing in the dusk, but in here, it was just the three of them, caught in this quiet, fragile moment. Keanu's phone buzzed in his pocket, probably a friend checking in, but he ignored it. This mattered more. Dr. Martinez came back, breaking the stillness. "He's stable for now," she said. "You can see him." Ethan shot up, Shadow still in his arms, and Keanu followed. In the exam room, Shadow lay on a table, an IV line taped to his leg. His eyes were brighter, though, and his tail gave a weak thump when Ethan got close. "Hey, buddy," Ethan whispered, leaning down, tears spilling now. "You're gonna be okay." Keanu stood back, watching, his throat tight. He'd seen love like that, unconditional, unbreakable, and it hit him hard, every time. He turned to Dr. Martinez. "What's next?" he asked. "Antibiotics, special food, rest," she listed off. "A few weeks and he should bounce back." Keanu nodded. "Send me the bill. All of it." She raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. Ethan looked over, stunned again. "Why?" he asked, voice raw. "Why are you doing this?" Keanu met his gaze, steady. "Because I've been where you are," he said. "Not the same, but close enough. And if I can help, I'm not walking away." Ethan didn't say anything, just nodded, tears streaking his face. Keanu stepped closer, resting a hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone in this, okay?" Ethan swallowed hard, like the words were too big to take in. Keanu got it. He'd felt that too. The disbelief when kindness showed up unannounced. Back on the street, some jerk had sneered at Ethan. "Take care of yourself first, kid." And Keanu had wanted to deck him. Society didn't get it, didn't see the strength it took to care when you had nothing left. But Keanu saw it, and he wasn't letting it go unnoticed. As they left the room, Ethan cradling Shadow, Keanu made a decision. This wasn't ending here, not for the kid, not for the dog. He didn't know what came next, but he knew one thing. He was in it now, all the way. Keanu Reeves stood by the exam room door, watching Ethan cradle Shadow as Dr. Elena Martinez adjusted the IV drip. The clinic on Santa Monica Boulevard was quiet now, the bustle of the day winding down. Shadow's breathing had steadied, but his frail body still looked too small on the table. Keanu's chest tightened. He'd seen enough suffering to know this wasn't just about a dog. It was about the kid holding him, the one who'd been fighting alone too long. Dr. Martinez turned to him, her voice matter-of-fact. "Severe malnutrition and an infection. He's stable now, but he'll need antibiotics, special food, and time." Keanu didn't hesitate. "I've got it," he said, pulling out his card. "Whatever it takes." Ethan's head jerked up, his eyes searching Keanu's face. "You're really doing this?" he asked, voice thick with disbelief. Keanu met his gaze, steady. "Yeah, you two deserve a shot." Ethan didn't argue this time, just nodded, his grip on Shadow tightening. Dr. Martinez gave Keanu a small, approving smile before stepping out to process the payment. Keanu stayed, leaning against the wall, his mind already moving ahead, and Shadow would pull through. He could see the fight in those tired eyes. But what about Ethan? The kid had nowhere to go, no one to turn to. Keanu couldn't just send him back to the street. "Hey," Keanu said, stepping closer as Ethan stroked Shadow's fur. "He's got a rest here tonight. Why don't you come with me? I've got a place not far, room for you both, when he's ready." Ethan froze, his hand pausing mid-stroke. "With you?" he echoed, like the idea didn't compute. Keanu nodded, keeping it casual. "Yeah, just till he's better, no pressure." Ethan's brow furrowed, suspicion flickering in his eyes. Keanu got it, trust didn't come easy when the world kept kicking you down. But then Ethan looked at Shadow, then back at Keanu, and something softened. "Okay," he said quietly, "if it's really all right." Keanu smiled, small but real. "It's more than all right." They left the clinic soon after, Keanu driving them up to his place in Laurel Canyon. Ethan sat silent in the passenger seat, staring out the window, hands clenched in his lap. Keanu didn't push. Silence was fine for now. When they pulled up, he led Ethan inside, flipping on the lights. The house was simple, lived in, nothing flashy, just warm and solid. "Guest room's down the hall," Keanu said, pointing. "Make yourself at home." Ethan nodded, still clutching his backpack like it was a lifeline, and shuffled off. Keanu watched him go, feeling that ache again. This kid was a survivor, but he didn't know it yet. The next morning, Keanu found Ethan in the kitchen, sitting cross-legged on the floor with a glass of water. "Sleep okay?" Keanu asked, pouring himself coffee. Ethan shrugged. "Better than the sidewalk." Keanu chuckled, but it faded fast. He sat across from him, sipping his drink. "Tell me about your mom," he said, keeping his tone gentle. Ethan tensed, then relaxed. Like he'd been waiting for someone to ask. "She was a janitor," he started, voice low. "Worked nights, got sick a while back. TB. We couldn't afford the hospital. She died in our apartment." He paused, swallowing hard. "Landlord threw us out a week later." Keanu's grip tightened on his mug. He'd heard stories like that too many, but hearing it from Ethan, a kid barely 13, made it cut deeper. "I'm sorry," he said, meaning it. "That's a hell of a load to carry." Ethan shrugged again, but his eyes were wet. "She loved Shadow," he added, "said he was our light." Keanu nodded, thinking of his own losses. His sister, his girlfriend, the baby they'd never had. "I get that," he said. "I've lost people too. Friends, family. It leaves a hole. But you've got something keeping you going." He tilted his head toward Ethan. "That's rare." Ethan looked up, surprised, like no one had ever said that to him. Keanu leaned forward. "You're strong, Ethan. Stronger than you think." The kid didn't respond, just stared at the floor, but Keanu saw the words land. That night, he heard soft sobs from the guest room. He peeked in. Ethan was curled up on the bed, face buried in a pillow, whispering, "Mom would be so happy we're here." Keanu stepped back, throat tight. He didn't interrupt. Some moments you just let be. Days passed, and Shadow came home from the clinic, tail wagging weakly. Keanu set up a spot for him in the living room, blankets, water, the works. Ethan hovered over him, feeding him tiny bites of the special food Dr. Martinez had prescribed. "He's eating," Ethan said one morning, voice bright with relief. Keanu grinned. "Told you, he's a fighter." They sat there, watching Shadow nap, and Keanu felt something shift. This wasn't just about fixing a dog anymore, it was about fixing a life. One afternoon, Keanu caught Ethan staring out the window, lost in thought. "What's on your mind?" he asked, sitting beside him. Ethan hesitated. "My old friends," he said finally. "They stopped talking to me after Mom died. Said I was a loser because I didn't have a place." Keanu's jaw clenched. He knew that sting. People turning away when you're at your lowest. "They're wrong," he said, voice firm. "You're not a loser. You're a kid who's been through hell and still cares. That's more than most can say." Ethan looked at him, eyes searching. "Why do you care?" he asked, raw and direct. Keanu didn't flinch. "Because I see you," he said, "and I know what it's like to feel invisible." Ethan didn't reply, but his shoulders eased like a weight had lifted, just a little. Keanu stood, clapping him on the back. "Come on, let's check on Shadow." As they walked off, Keanu knew one thing for sure. This kid and his dog weren't leaving his life anytime soon. Not if he could help it. Keanu Reeves leaned against the kitchen counter in his Laurel Canyon home, watching Ethan kneel beside Shadow. The dog's tail wagged stronger now, his appetite back after days of careful feeding. It had been a week since Shadow came home from the vet, and the change was undeniable. His fur looked less patchy, his eyes brighter. But Keanu's gaze kept drifting to Ethan. The kid was different too. Still quiet, still guarded, but there was a spark there, faint but growing. Keanu sipped his coffee, feeling a quiet pride. He'd pulled them off the street, sure, but Ethan was the one keeping Shadow alive all this time. That took something most people didn't have. "Looking good, huh?" Keanu said, nodding toward Shadow. Ethan glanced up, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Yeah, he's tougher than I thought." Keanu set his mug down and crouched beside them. "So are you," he said, voice steady. Ethan's smile faded, like he wasn't sure how to take it. Keanu didn't push, just handed him a notebook he'd grabbed from his study earlier. "Ever think about writing it down?" he asked. "Your story, you and Shadow." Ethan took the notebook, frowning. "Why?" Keanu shrugged, keeping it light. "Might help someone, show them they're not alone." Ethan stared at the blank pages, fingers tracing the cover. "I'm not good with words," he muttered. "You don't have to be," Keanu said. "Just tell it like it happened. The real stuff. That's what matters." Ethan didn't say yes, but he didn't say no either. That night, Keanu caught him scribbling in the living room, hunched over the notebook, pen moving slow but steady. Keanu didn't interrupt, just watched from the doorway, feeling that ache again. This kid had a voice, even if he didn't know it yet. Days later, Ethan showed him the first page, messy handwriting about finding Shadow as a pup, his mom's laugh when the dog chewed her shoes, the cold nights after she was gone. Keanu read it silently, then looked up. "This is good, Ethan, really good." Ethan shifted, uncomfortable. "It's just what happened." Keanu leaned forward, eyes locked on his. "That's why it's powerful. People need to hear this." Ethan's brow furrowed. "Who'd care?" Keanu didn't hesitate. "I do, and I'm not the only one." That's when the idea hit him. Keanu sat back, mind racing. "What if we did something with it?" he said. "Your story, use it to help kids like you, dogs like Shadow." Ethan blinked, confused. "Like what?" Keanu grinned, the plan forming fast. "A campaign, call it Beacon of Hope. Raise money, get people talking, show them what's possible." Ethan didn't say much, just nodded, but Keanu saw the wheels turning. He made some calls, friends in nonprofits, a few contacts with deep pockets, and within days, it was set. A fundraiser at the Echo Park Community Center, Ethan's story front and center. The night of the event, Keanu drove them over, Ethan fidgeting in the passenger seat, Shadow curled up in the back. "You don't have to talk if you don't want," Keanu said, glancing over. "Just be there." Ethan clutched the notebook, knuckles white. "I'll try," he said, voice small. Keanu parked, and they walked in together, Ethan sticking close, Shadow's leash in his hand. The room was packed, locals, donors, a few reporters, posters of Ethan and Shadow lining the walls. Keanu stayed by the sidelines, letting Ethan take it in. The kid's eyes were wide, like he couldn't believe this was real. When the organizer called Ethan up, Keanu gave him a nudge. "You've got this," he said, low and firm. Ethan stepped forward, legs shaky, microphone trembling in his hand. The crowd hushed. Hi," he started, voice cracking. "I'm Ethan, this is Shadow." He paused, glancing at Keanu, who nodded back. Ethan took a breath. "A few weeks ago, we were on Hollywood Boulevard. I thought he was going to die. I didn't have anything, no money, no home. My mom's gone, and it's just His voice broke, but he kept going. "And someone stopped, helped us. And now I'm here." Keanu's throat tightened as Ethan kept talking. About the streets, the hunger, the way people looked through him. "Kids like me, we don't get chances," Ethan said, stronger now. "No school, no doctors, but we're still here. And dogs like Shadow, they don't get help either. I just wanted to save him. Maybe this can save others too." The room erupted in applause, loud and warm. Ethan stepped back, stunned, and Keanu clapped hardest, pride swelling in his chest. The kid had done it, raw, real, straight from the heart. After, people swarmed Ethan, shaking his hand, asking questions. Donations poured in, hundreds, then thousands, for shelters, vet care, youth programs. Keanu watched from a corner, letting Ethan have the moment. Later in the car, Ethan was quiet, Shadow asleep between them. "I didn't think they'd listen," he said finally. Keanu smiled. "They didn't just listen. They felt it." Ethan looked at him, eyes searching. "I used to think I was nothing," he said, voice soft. "But now I want to help, like you helped me." Keanu's grip tightened on the wheel. That hit him deep, deeper than he expected. "You're already helping," he said. "Tonight proved it." Ethan didn't reply, just leaned his head against the window, but Keanu saw the shift. This wasn't just survival anymore, it was purpose. Back home, Ethan crashed on the couch, notebook open beside him, Shadow snoring at his feet. Keanu stood there, staring at them, feeling something he hadn't in years. Hope. Real and alive. He'd started this to save a dog, maybe a kid. Now it was bigger. Ethan's words at the fundraiser echoed in his head. "Kids like me don't get chances." Keanu clenched his jaw. That was going to change. One story, one fight at a time. Keanu Reeves stood at the edge of the Dolby Theater stage, hands in his pockets, watching Ethan command the room. It was 2024, 5 years since that cold day on Hollywood Boulevard, and the kid, now 18, stood tall under the spotlight, microphone steady in his hand. The Beacon of Hope fundraiser packed the place, hundreds of faces, all here because of Ethan's story. Shadow sat at his feet, older now, his muzzle gray, but his eyes still sharp, tail thumping softly. Keanu's chest swelled with something he couldn't quite name. Pride, sure, but deeper, like he'd been part of something bigger than himself. Ethan's voice cut through the hum of the crowd, clear and strong. 5 years ago, I was on a sidewalk with Shadow, thinking we'd lost everything, he said. I didn't have a home, a family, just him, and I was scared he wouldn't make it. He paused, glancing down at Shadow, who tilted his head up like he knew. Keanu's throat tightened. He remembered that day, the crumpled sign, the kid's trembling hands, the way Shadow's ribs poked through his fur. Then someone stopped, Ethan went on, his gaze flicking to Keanu. One person cared, and it changed my life. The room was silent, hanging on every word. Keanu shifted, feeling the weight of Ethan's look. He hadn't done much, just saw what others missed. But hearing it now from this kid who'd turned pain into purpose hit him hard. Today, Beacon of Hope has helped hundreds of kids and animals, Ethan said. Shelters, vet care, school programs, stuff I never had. But there's still so many out there, forgotten. Kids with no chance, pets with no one. Society looks away, but we don't have to. One small act. It can start everything. The crowd erupted, applause rolling over them. Keanu clapped too, a slow, steady rhythm, his eyes locked on Ethan. Damn, the kid had come far. Ethan held up a book, his book, fresh off the press. This is my story, he said, me and Shadow. All the profits go to the foundation. If it helps even one person, it's worth it. Keanu's lips curved into a smile. He'd read the draft months back, every word raw, real, like Ethan was still that 13-year-old pouring his heart onto the page. Now it was out there, a piece of him for the world. Ethan stepped back, and Keanu caught his eye, giving a small nod. Ethan nodded back, a quiet thank you they didn't need words for. After the speech, the room buzzed. People swarming Ethan, shaking his hand, snapping photos with Shadow. Keanu hung back, letting him shine. A woman in a sharp suit approached him, grinning. You started this, didn't you? She asked. Keanu shrugged. He did. I just gave him a push. She laughed, but Keanu meant it. Ethan had taken that push and run with it, built something lasting. Donations poured in that night, tens of thousands. And Keanu knew it was just the start. He'd seen the numbers. Kids off the streets, dogs in homes. Ethan's voice was doing that. Later, Keanu found Ethan outside, sitting on a bench with Shadow sprawled across his lap. The city glittered below, but Ethan's focus was on the dog, scratching his ears. Keanu sat beside him, stretching out his legs. You killed it up there, he said. Ethan smiled, shy but real. Felt good, like it mattered. Keanu nodded. It does, more than you know. Ethan looked at him, eyes older than his years. You think Mom's proud? He asked, voice soft. Keanu didn't hesitate. Hell yeah. She'd be cheering loudest. Ethan's smile widened, and Keanu felt that ache again. Grief and joy tangled up tight. A few days later, Keanu drove Ethan back to Hollywood Boulevard, to that same corner where it all began. Ethan had asked to go, said he needed to see it. They parked, and Ethan stepped out, Shadow hobbling beside him. Keanu followed, hands in his pockets, watching. Ethan stood there, staring at the spot where he'd once sat with that sign. Feels like forever, he said, voice low. Keanu nodded. Lots changed. Ethan pulled a small plaque from his bag, metal, engraved with where hope began, and set it on the sidewalk, securing it with a rock. For you, he said, glancing at Keanu. And Shadow. Keanu crouched, reading it, his throat tight. You didn't have to, he said. Ethan shrugged. Wanted to. Shadow nudged Keanu's hand, and he scratched the dog's head, feeling the years in that slow, steady touch. We did it, huh? Ethan whispered to Shadow, leaning down. Got through. Keanu stood, looking at them. Ethan taller now, Shadow grayer, but still a team. He thought back to that first day, the kid's quiet plea, the dog's fading strength. He'd stopped on instinct, not knowing it'd lead here. A foundation, a book, a legacy. "You're not just surviving anymore," Keanu said, voice firm. "You're building something." Ethan met his gaze, nodding. "Couldn't have without you." Keanu shook his head. "You had it in you. I just saw it." Ethan didn't argue, just smiled, and Keanu knew he got it. They walked back to the car, shadow between them, the city humming around them like it always had. But this time it wasn't indifferent. It was watching, listening, because Ethan... That night, Keanu sat alone, flipping through Ethan's book. The dedication read, "To Keanu, for stopping." He closed it, leaning back, eyes on the ceiling. 5 years ago, he'd been a guy on a walk, carrying his own scars. Now he was part of this. Part of Ethan's fight, Shadow's survival, a ripple that kept spreading. He thought of his own losses, the people he'd never save. But Ethan? He'd saved him, in a way, and Ethan was saving others. Keanu smiled, small but real. Kindness wasn't just a moment, it was a legacy. And this one? He'd carry forever. Keanu's choice to stop that day wasn't just luck. It was a gut call, proof that one person's instinct can rewrite someone else's story. I think it's a reminder we all have that power, even when the world feels too big to care. Ethan's fight for Shadow, Keanu's quiet push. It shows kindness isn't loud or flashy. It's raw, messy, and real. Some might say it's naive to think one act can fix everything, that society's too broken for that. Maybe. But isn't it worth trying? I'd love to hear your take. Do you think small moves like Keanu's can really change lives, or are they just drops in the bucket? Drop a comment below and let's talk. Keanu Reeves is always a silent hero. Not many know these incredible stories, and we're fortunate to uncover and share them with you. This is just one of the many children Keanu has helped. Keep watching more inspiring tales in our playlist, Keanu Reeves and Hope, where Keanu's journey brings miracles to kids in need.